So you hear the name King Solomon, and what comes to mind, right? Immense wealth, legendary wisdom, and a kingdom that was just epic. But have you ever stopped to wonder how it all worked? I mean, how do you actually run an empire that large and that prosperous? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the actual blueprint for this legendary golden age.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we're going to get a handle on the sheer scale of his kingdom. Then, we'll meet the A-team, the inner circle that made it all happen. We'll uncover the genius logistics of his supply chain, see the incredible prosperity it all created, and finally, we'll ask what the true source of all this power really was.
So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It's one thing to be a legend, but it's a whole other thing to build the machine that makes the legend possible. So let's start peeling back those layers and see exactly how it was done.
Okay, first things first, we have to wrap our heads around just how massive this operation was. We're not talking about some small city-state here, we're talking about a true regional superpower.
The scope here is just wow. I mean, look at this. Solomon's influence stretched from the Euphrates River all the way down to Egypt. And these weren't just friendly neighbors. No, they were subjects who paid tribute to him his entire life. This massive, stable territory, that was the bedrock for everything else.
So how does one man manage such a vast realm? Well, the short answer is he didn't. Not alone anyway. Solomon was a master organizer who built an incredibly structured administration, a whole team of specialists to run the machinery of the state.
You can think of it like a modern-day government cabinet or the executive board of a huge corporation. Solomon surrounded himself with experts, delegating key responsibilities to a highly organized inner circle.
And you can see just how specialized this team really was. You have distinct departments for every part of the kingdom. You've got spiritual leaders, administrative secretaries, a royal historian, a commander-in-chief for the military, and even officials dedicated purely to logistics and labor. The key takeaway here is that this wasn't just a king barking random orders. This was a sophisticated, almost modern-looking government at work.
Now, running a government and an army that big requires a constant, massive flow of resources. And this is where Solomon's system goes from smart to downright genius. He needed to feed his massive royal household, and he came up with a brilliant way to do it.
The secret weapon in this whole operation was the district governor. See, instead of taxing one region into the ground or trying to micromanage everything from the capital, Solomon created this amazing decentralized rotating system. He appointed 12 governors, and here's the kicker. Each one was responsible for supplying the kingdom for just 1 month a year. It's such a simple idea, but so incredibly effective.
It really breaks down into 3 beautifully elegant steps. Divide the kingdom, put a governor in charge of each district, and then rotate the supply duty every month. This guaranteed the palace never ran short. It spread the burden evenly, and it created a predictable, year-round flow of resources. It's honestly a masterclass in ancient logistics.
And these governors weren't just some random bureaucrats. These guys were heavy hitters. I mean, notice that 2 of them actually married Solomon's daughters. Talk about keeping it in the family and ensuring loyalty. Then you've got others like Ben-Geber, who ruled over 60 large fortified cities. This just shows you how powerful and crucial these positions were.
So, we have a vast kingdom, a brilliant administrative team, and a genius supply system. So what? What did all that organization actually produce? Well, get ready, because the numbers are genuinely staggering.
First up, the grain. 90 cores of fine flour and meal. To put that in perspective, that's roughly 20,000 liters. And that was delivered every single day. Just let that number sink in. And that's just the flour to get things started. But that was just the start. Add to that over 130 cattle and sheep, plus deer, gazelles, and the best fowl they could find. Again, daily. This system was fueling an enterprise of almost unbelievable opulence. And the kingdom's resources weren't just for feasts. This system also supported a massive military. The palace had 4,000 stalls just for its chariot horses, which points to a seriously powerful and highly organized fighting force. The grand total was 12,000 horses. And remember those district governors? Well, their job wasn't just to supply food for the people, they also had to provide all the barley and straw for this massive cavalry force. Every single part of the system supported the whole. But here's the really important part. What did all this wealth and power mean for the average person? The source material gives us this beautiful image that Judah and Israel lived in safety everyone under their own vine and fig tree. This well-run system wasn't just about enriching the king, it created a stable, prosperous society for everyone.
But that begs the question, right? Where did the insight to build all of this even come from? A system this great needs a great architect, and the source is very clear about what it considers the true foundation of Solomon's entire empire.
The source makes this fascinating comparison. It doesn't just say Solomon was a smart guy. It claims his wisdom was in a different category altogether. It was considered a divine gift, far surpassing the famed wisdom of Egypt or the East, a wisdom as measureless as the sand on the seashore.
And this wisdom wasn't limited to just statecraft. It was incredibly broad. He's credited with 3,000 proverbs and over 1,000 songs. But look closer. He also spoke on botany, zoology, and biology, everything from the great cedars of Lebanon down to the hyssop growing out of a wall. Ultimately, his wisdom became the kingdom's most famous export. It wasn't just his gold or his army that drew people in, it was his mind. Kings from across the known world sent envoys just to listen to him. This wisdom was the true source of his international prestige and power.
Which brings us to our final question. We've seen how Solomon's empire was a masterpiece of administration, logistics, and power, but all of it, according to the source, was built on a foundation of unparalleled wisdom. So it leaves us to wonder, what is the true measure of a golden age? Is it the wealth in the treasury, the strength of the army, or the wisdom of its leader?